This is some more playing around with the solid from William Nease. I'm using basically what I've begun to think about as helicopter style chopping. And that's essentially where I focus on using my shoulder to snap the blade around from a starting position where it's almost parallel to my leg. That essentially removes the big problem of the large inertia of this blade. And then once it's moving, all I have to do with my hand, wrist, and forearm is essentially control the blade or move it to where I want it to go. And that's a lot easier than trying to accelerate it. So again, I use my shoulder to get the blade moving and then control it with the more small muscle groups. I do a bit of work on this, but then I slow down after it because it starts to get really splintery and pieces are flying everywhere, and I have to take the camera off because I don't want them smashing into it. Back to some more wood. And at this point, it starts to be obvious that the raw impact energy of this blade is large enough that it's giving me issues, and I'm going to have to look for another way to mount my chopping block because I'm getting a severe amount of loss of energy as everything is moving around in the impacts. The other thing I'm fooling around with here is just trying to speed up the chopping just for sake of, just trying to do it, and again just looking at issues with fatigue and long-term performance. And again, decent cut there, but I'm getting so much movement on the end of these impacts, it's hard to make a complete cut.
Decent piece of wood.
And the chopping horse is actually on the wrong angle. I'm going to have to move it because it's actually tilted towards me, which makes the blade over-penetrate on the far side of the wood and under-penetrate closer to me.
Sucks there, katana.
These are just 2x2 pieces of wood. These are 2x3 size pieces of wood. And at this point it starts to get a bit silly and I start talking to myself because I'm just having a good time. And I just watched DragonBall Evolution, I think, for I don't know how many times. The movie's ridiculously funny.
Too much instability.
And there's easily enough power and penetration here to make this in one cut, but the movement and the fact that the cuts are not lining up right across the chopping block is preventing it. So I just overkill it at some points, and you can see the ones that go through it completely.
There is a limited solution. I have to hit it harder. This is Goku's secret.
They're penetrating thing way too deeply into the chopping block. So anyway, I'll reposition this the next time, but this is just having a bit of fun.
But what about real
And
wood? Sucks the or real wood.
this just starts to get really silly at this point, but
But what about Christmas trees? Sucks the or Christmas trees. What about shitty Christmas trees? Oh,
right into a knot.
shitty Christmas tree put up a fight. You know what that means? Goku style.
Nice blade.